Welcome to another episode of Get to Know Them. I'm so happy you are joining us today. This is a weekly show where every week I want to share stories of some of my favorite people with you. And today is an extra special one. I'm going to introduce our guest in just a moment. But before I do that, for those of you who might be watching for the first time, we broadcast live from the Glam Jewels studio every week, which is my business here. And Glam Jewels, of course, is a sponsor of our show. You can check out our jewelry at glamjewels.com. And today I'm wearing one of our necklaces with coordinating earrings, of course. And then we have a special bracelet we feature every year at Christmas time. This is our Three Little Wishes bracelet. They are on our website. They're $35, and the proceeds go to help a family suffering from the financial burdens of cancer. So make sure you check that out. And while you're at it, you have to look at our show sponsors clothing line, Brenda Bedome. I'm wearing her beautiful blouse today. And if you saw my social media, you'll see the pants that I'm wearing to go with. Her clothes are so beautiful. I want you to go to brendabedome.com. Use the coupon code Get to Know Them because you will get 22% off of your order, which is so generous of Brenda to give our viewers that coupon code. So, speaking of famous, amazing, awesome clothing designers, I have Daryl Wier on the show today from 49th Apparel. Oh my goodness, I'm going to read you his bio and then we're going to get right into conversation. I love this guy. Daryl is the designer and founder of 49th Apparel in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada. Daryl is happily married to his best friend, Leanne. Together, they have two sons and two loving dogs. Daryl spends a lot of time at work with his team working on new designs and production. Traveling to Toronto to meet and collaborate with the small manufacturers who help Daryl produce his sleepwear is something he ventures south to do a few times a year, and he absolutely loves it. Currently, his absolute favorite thing to do when visiting any big city is to dig through the masses of vintage shirts for his remade line. Daryl calls himself a true hunter-gatherer, or maybe just a hoarder. He loves antique stores and anything vintage. He cannot drive by a garage sale without stopping. A product of the 80s, Daryl usually has music from that era playing in the shop while he works. How surprising that Daryl and I would be friends. And how did I meet Daryl and get to know all about his business? Well, he and I are going to discuss that in this interview. Let's bring him on.
Hi,
Daryl,
hi,
I'm
Monica.
so happy you're here. I love the backdrop with all of your
Oh, yeah.
beautiful sleepwear
All
behind
my
you.
inventory. Yeah.
It's great. So you're shipping immediate when people order.
I'm
There's no
shipping
waiting.
immediate. Yeah,
Getting it out the door.
yeah. 2 days delivery in Ontario and Quebec. Yeah.
Perfect. You guys get on it for Christmas. Actually, for people who are watching, let's give them your website right now so they can check you out while they're listening.
Okay, so it's 49apparel.com. Pretty simple.
Okay. And it's
Four nine. Yeah,
four
number
nine.
four, number nine. THAPPAREL.com.
Okay. Get yourself something cozy while you're listening to
Yeah.
Daryl tell his
I ship I
story.
ship I ship sleepwear now. Now that we switched gears, which I'm sure we'll talk about, I ship it all
Yeah.
over the world, from Finland to Los Angeles to I have an order going out to Georgia, to France, to it's great, great.
Oh my God. I love this. Okay. I want to dig into that stuff
Yeah,
with you. But
yeah.
the first question, Daryl, we're all dying to know is what did little Daryl want to be when he grew up?
Oh wow. So
Ah.
Daryl either wanted in kindergarten. Daryl wanted to be a veterinarian.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And my mother has a poster that she kept in her cedar chest of me taking care of animals, that you had to draw what you wanted to be in kindergarten. But then I don't know if it was excessive watching of the Carol Burnett show or something like that. I just became enthralled with clothing and anything old and fabrics, and it kind of led me here. And then in high school, I was going to go into jewelry and go to school to be a gemologist in California.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and most people
Cool.
don't. And then that didn't pan out. I just didn't want to do that. So I went to design school for a year in Calgary, Alberta, where I was living at the time. And then I transferred, or not transferred, then I took another program there. The school was called Form and Function, and it was a wonderful
Okay.
school led by these European trained designers and craftspeople, and it was amazing. But I got a taste of the big city when I had visited Toronto, and I decided to go to Sheridan College. I got into Sheridan College, and yeah, I just yeah,
Wow. What year were you at Sheridan?
I was at Sheridan from 90 to 92, 91.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just missed you. I was there too.
Yeah. So I took the fashion
Yeah.
technique and design program there. I made wonderful friends who I still talk with today. And
Yes.
after that, to get a job, I took a retail management position with Gap Canada. And yeah,
Wow.
and then I had some student debt. Not to get into it too much, but I had some
Yeah.
small amount of student debt, and I wanted to move home because at the time, like just imagine, this is the early '90s. I thought Toronto was expensive, so now
Oh God.
I think I
I
had,
know.
I think I had a beautiful two-bedroom apartment. One was my bedroom, and the other was my studio in the Bronte Harbor area of Oakville, and it was with parking, excessively, I thought, $725 a month.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, everybody who doesn't know this area, but we
yeah.
got to talk. So I had a two-bedroom apartment in Bronte as well. What street were you on? Do you remember?
Marine Drive.
Get out. I was just there last night with my mom. We were cruising around looking at Christmas lights. And
Yeah,
I lived on Bellier, which is like behind the 7-Eleven, but
yeah.
I
I know where
grew
that
up
is.
in
Yeah,
that area.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I paid 800 a month in 95 for a beautiful
Oh
two-bedroom,
yeah.
and I could roller skate right down to the
I'm
pier.
sure
Like
you
it was
did. I'm sure
beautiful.
you
Yeah.
did. Yeah,
That's so cool,
it was
Daryl. I
great. It
didn't
was
know that.
great. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
And then I set some goals for myself. Decided I wanted to relocate up north. I found it really uh, difficult to breathe and to work and to
Mhm.
find mind space, headspace at the time in Southern Ontario. Just a little too peoply at the time. So even now, I find it very peoply.
Yeah.
And I moved back up north, and yeah, paid off my debt in one summer. I waited tables. I opened up a little studio where I started doing custom work, and yeah, I guess the rest.
Wow.
I made some boxer shorts and some sleepwear, and I sold them to some local stores. I sold them privately myself, um,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's really
Okay,
it.
I need to ask you something going back to the Carol Burnett show. What was it about that show that
I
intrigued
don't
you
know. It
from
just
a
made me
fashion
laugh, and
sense?
there were beautiful clothes,
Yeah,
and was so entertaining. Just being
yeah,
a child of the '70s, all those '70s
yes,
clothes, and then being in high school in the '80s. Like you can't get a more distinct, to me at least, a more distinct fashion era than like the '80s. Like to
exactly.
me, it just lives in my head. And I had this conversation with family members, um, and they said it perfect, that you really relate and you kind of always remember the music, the times, and the clothing of your high school years. So I
Yeah,
can remember, I remember my sister with the big popped up collar and the big satin shirt and the banana clip and the
yeah.
curly perm. And believe it or not, I had a perm, and I had a skinny leather tie. And yeah, it was just like, sign me
I
up,
love.
Duran Duran. Like I was like,
So
oh,
do you feel like, I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions because I'm not in high school now, but when I look at kids walking to school in the morning, I'm like, they all look the same. Like to
yeah,
me, we had all these different scenes. Like you had like the new wave, the new
yeah,
romantic, the punks, the
yeah.
smoke pit kids, the jocks. Like there was such
A distinction,
segregation
such a distinction.
in fashion.
So I don't know, Monica,
Yeah.
is that good or bad? So I had two sons
Yeah.
that went through a wonderful high school here in town, and
Hmm.
both of them told me that everybody gets along. There's no distinction between
Yeah.
the music kids and the theater kids and the academic kids and the football kids. They all kind of get along now. So maybe that's better. Maybe everyone's more accepting,
Yes.
and there's no Yeah, I think maybe that's better.
Yeah.
But as far as style or fashion goes, I don't think it's any better. No, no, no. I
Yeah.
still remember
We
the people that would walk to school. One girl's popping into my head in particular with the long
yeah.
black trench coat, and her head was shaved on one side, and it flopped
Yes.
over her eye on the other side at an angle. And yeah, I still remember
I
her. And yeah, yeah,
I love that. You know what I love too? Like I remember I always had problems with my skin. Like I was always, fighting the pimples, right?
yeah,
And my mom
typical.
said, yeah, and my mom said, "You got to embrace that. It's the fountain of youth. It's the oil, like just spread the oil around and whatever."
Easier
But
said than
now I'm
done.
like,
Easier said than done in grade 10
yeah,
and 11. Yeah.
but I remember those girls, like the girl you're describing, there was a girl like that at our school, jet black hair,
Um,
ivory skin, like part shaved, and her
yeah,
skin was like porcelain, and then
yeah,
she put that severe blush on, and I was like, damn, I
yeah.
I want to have that look. Like it was so
So
cool.
I graduated high school in 1987.
Same.
But
We're the same age.
just
Yeah.
imagine. I started high school in 1984, 85. Like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like Annie Lennox, like just think about it. Like the music, the
Yeah.
the the people what they'd wear to school.
Yes.
I wish I had all these printed rayon shirts and oh yeah,
I
yeah,
know it's so great, and I'm interested too because I went to high school in Oakville, which is, we're fairly close to Toronto,
yeah.
but were you born in the
I was
Sioux
born in
and grew up?
Ontario. I was born in Ontario, Northern Ontario, here where I reside now in Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay, in Sioux
But
Sioux. And you went
uh,
to high school in the
in
Sioux as
Alberta,
well?
in Alberta. No,
Oh, in
I grew up
Alberta.
out west.
Okay,
Yeah, we moved
gotcha.
out west, and then right when things
Yeah.
started to get really good in Alberta, like around the early '90s, we decided we had enough, and we moved back to Ontario.
Okay, got it.
So we missed out on it both places, but yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. And
Yeah,
your mom's still out in Alberta. Shout
yeah,
out
she
to
is.
Glamma.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
to
your
Grandma.
mom's
Yeah,
amazing.
she's here helping me. She helped me do like we just got back from the One of a Kind show. I did the
Yeah.
5 days there, and she's back in town now here in the Sioux. We call it the Sioux
Oh,
for the
yeah.
winter till January. Yeah,
Oh, good. She's so wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's a
Lucky
big
to have her.
supporter of yours,
I'm
and
lucky to
she's
have her. Yeah,
tireless.
yeah.
We've had discussions about, like, how
But they
she
don't make
keeps
them like
going, and you and I
they don't make people like that anymore. That just
no,
yeah, no.
no, they
I
don't.
need a nap to keep up with her. Yeah.
So, Daryl, after, you started with sleepwear. That's interesting because that's not sort of what happened when you opened your first shop, right?
No, and I've kind of
So
come full
tell
circle. I've kind of come full circle back
Yeah,
to
that's
it. So,
interesting.
so the space I'm talking to you from today is like a 2,400 square foot, 20-foot ceiling, old vintage antique building in downtown Sault Ste. Marie that used to be my women's clothing store. And I used to carry a lot of Canadian made, pretty much all Canadian made jewelry and accessories, glam jewels. We carried glam jewels for years.
Yes.
And
So listen, we have to tell the folks. I want to tell people. So Daryl came to the Mode Accessory Show where I used to exhibit my collection. And at the time, I had a sales rep, Catherine, who a lot of people know, and she was dynamic. And you came to the booth. I remember this tall, handsome guy, and you were like, I love the line. Let's write up the order. And I'm like, oh my God. And then
oh my
Catherine
gosh.
is like taking you through the line, like doing her sales thing. And in those years, I was still mostly like the creator, right? I wasn't so confident with selling myself to this
Yeah.
famous boutique in Sault Ste. Marie. So Liz, so she's writing the order and I'm like wanting to talk to you, but afraid. So I never did. And then our next meeting was me calling you up saying, hey, Daryl, I'm going to come up to the Sioux and
And I'm
visit you
like,
in your
no one's
store. And
coming up
you're
to this
like,
crew.
yeah, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I
And,
get there and
and
there's
I
no
wasn't here.
Daryl.
I was home with my little kids. They were little then, um, and
Yes.
they're
And
big
then you,
now. And I was home with them, and
yeah,
I said to Carol, the girl that was working at the time, I said, I'm
yeah,
not coming down, and I'm not coming back down to the store. I've been down there already today. I
yeah.
got my one son here. He doesn't want to come, and Carol's like, yeah, she's not taking no for an answer. You got to come. And I came down and we bought more stuff and it was good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was great, and then after that, we used to meet up for dinner when you'd be in Toronto with the boys
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
mode accessories. It was so good.
yeah, it was
So
great.
anyway, those years, how long did you do that sort of,
I did
boutique
that retail
model? Yeah.
retail here at the shop from I can't believe I'm going to say this. From 1995, I
Okay.
opened up a very small
Wow.
store in another building I owned, and then I moved to this location in 97
Wow.
up until about 2 years ago, when I locked the door and made it by appointment only, and we renovated and turned basically we turned the retail store, we took out the change rooms, we took out the storage room, we took out everything and made it one big long space. And uh, we turned it into production facility, I bought more machines, and fulfillment center. Yeah. So
Okay.
I should update that bio too, because I no longer make anything in Southern Ontario. I've have a small team here, and we make everything that you see and everything on my website. We make it right here in the Sioux now. So I don't go to
Oh, you
Toronto.
do?
Yeah, we make everything here. I haven't used a contractor or a production facility in Toronto since 2019. Since 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so about 3 years. Yeah,
Oh, interesting. So it's sort of like
I
with
should
the
update. I should
pandemic,
update.
you made that
I should update that website. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it says,
Oh, that's
my kids are still in high school, but they're like, they're in university and grad school. So yeah, I should update that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. That's so great. So how many people do you have there, Daryl?
So I partner. We're kind of a hybrid situation. I partner with
Yeah,
a gentleman, with all of the wonderful, talented, skilled newcomers coming not just to Canada but to more remote northern locations like Sault Ste. Marie. I
mhm,
have a wonderful gentleman who ran a factory in Saudi Arabia. He's Filipino, so he learned his trade from his grandma in the Philippines. Then he went to Saudi and ran a factory there making cultural dress. And then he ended up here in Sault Ste. Marie because his wife was working here. And he has his own little team. And he basically has become my local contractor, I guess you would say. So we share the same
yeah.
space. He works right out of here, and I can keep my eye on production every day. And touch wood, it's been wonderful experience. And yeah, that's
Fantastic.
I was lucky. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so great.
So right before,
I wanted to
oh, sorry,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I wanted to ask you also. I remember you used to do like tailor-made women's blouses
Yeah,
at your
I used to do a whole
too.
line. I used to do a whole line of women's wear.
Yeah.
I have a good friend in Toronto, and her and I had a clothing company briefly, about 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And so I would always partner with her, and she would help me with my production, and I would do higher end women's more tailored pieces, like size 4 to
Okay.
14. I would do
Yeah.
beautiful wool suitings, and I would do a lot of that, which is where my true love was. Um,
Mhm.
but I got that out of my system, I guess, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then I came back to right before the pandemic. I came back to sleepwear, and the one of a kind and shows like that I was doing, and I
Yeah.
was doing really well at. They were shut down, so I took all of that budget for those shows and I put it into digital marketing and into updating my website and to upgrading that, and things took off, so it was good, and
Amazing.
yeah.
So tell me, if I want to know first of all, sleepwear. Why sleepwear? What?
I don't know. I guess like my wife feels that those are the two kind of the two how did she say it? I forget how she said it, but the two sides of my personality. Like one is like this tailored, beautiful, glamorous, not me, but
Yeah.
sequins and just beautiful, dressed up, like really dressed up. And the other is like I'm in my sweatshirt and in my pajamas, and I'm in my nightshirt and I'm in my bathrobe, and I've literally watched all of Netflix, and I'm staying
Yeah.
home. And yeah, we're not even cleaning up the kitchen. We're just gonna eat in front of the TV and we're gonna lounge all day. That's my two sides of my personality. So I went with the other one during the pandemic. I went with the
Yeah.
the more relaxed one, and yeah, it paid off. And my business is growing. Like I said, we ship all over, and yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. So tell us a little bit about the digital marketing adventure you've had for anybody, like even for me in my business, like that's something that I've never
Well,
even looked
so
at.
digital marketing, wonderful. I partnered with a local
Yeah.
firm. I hired a local firm here to consult with me. Um,
Okay.
you have to be very, very, very clear and very succinct on what you want to achieve,
Okay.
and be very, very, very adamant to stick to your budget, because I got a little over my head and didn't really stick to my budget because things were happening, and sales were coming in from all over the country. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is attributed to digital marketing. But when you really break it down, it can be very costly. And
Hmm.
if it takes, you know, 4x amount of dollars to get you X, then it's kind of too expensive, you know. Um,
Uh-huh.
but I was building a brand too, and I did. And Yeah, I don't regret it. But just I tell anybody with digital marketing, and we still digital market, we're just
Yeah.
much clearer. Um, it costs a lot. Like, you've been in business for a long time. It costs
Mm.
more to um, get a new customer than it does to keep an old customer.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
so this
exactly.
year we took all of the customers that we got from digital marketing back last year, and we resold to them. Now, the problem with that is not really a problem, but the catch with that is, and it's the same thing that happens to me at the One of a Kind show uh, and trade shows, is love your product. I still have it. It's still good.
Yeah.
Don't
I
don't
hear that too.
don't
Hmm.
necessarily need to buy another one. Love you, support you, think your stuff's great. Everybody in my family has them. We bought pajamas for everyone last year. No one, don't need to buy them again this year. So
Yeah.
then now you do need new customers. You need to
Yes,
need
that's right.
exposure to somebody else. So um, yeah, I can really get into it with digital marketing, but
Yeah.
it's been good to me. I really like the direction we took this past year, um, with marketing to our existing customer base. That really
Perfect.
paid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so smart, like to take that money that you otherwise would have spent at those bigger shows before the pandemic and used it for something else,
Well,
to help to grow your business. Because really, like, I mean, people, we have this conversation all the time about good things that have come out of the pandemic, and I think just like we have more trust in Canadian consumers now that they are okay with buying online, whereas before I feel like we were more of a touchy-feely kind of country where we wanted to see things and wanted to, but now people are more trusting, and maybe with, the use of like digital marketing and just being more savvy online as a small business owner, you can build that trust a little bit better than
yeah, I
before,
think,
because before we're running to every show, setting up a booth, there was no time for that other stuff, right? Like,
yeah, you know, um,
yeah.
who wants to do that? Like, especially considering my vintage. Like, I'm a certain age. I don't want to be away from my home for like 3 weeks at a time, or traveling across the country, or oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah.
landing in Vancouver and then I'm doing the show in Vancouver and Calgary and then back to One of a Kind. Or, and lots of people do that, and I've never actually done that entire circuit. But um,
Mhm.
that doesn't. It's not fun. Not fun.
Yeah. Daryl, what do you think about like like Instagram stories and all this like documenting your life? Like I find that so hard. Like I'll be doing something and I'll think, how could this be interesting for someone?
Well, I
Why
always
do they
think,
want to
I
see
always,
me?
I saw something the other day that's like, you know, um, if you really want to gain, if you really want to develop, build a brand, build a following, build a tribe, all these things, let them peek behind the curtain. Well, it's not that exciting behind the curtain, and it looks kind of dirty and dusty, and there's fabric on the floor, and
Yeah.
you know. Okay, like I go to Instagram to see something beautiful. I don't really want to see your mess. Like, I don't know, like
It's true.
my,
But
my,
I have
my
to
my
say,
associate, my associate who helps me here with that now,
yeah.
she's like, oh, everything is content. and she's wonderful. Everything is content. And I guess, but it's like, oh, this is my lunch? Is this content? Like, like I guess it is because there's one person out there that cares about what kind of sandwich I'm having. I don't know.
It's true. And also, like, I think back to when I was working, like, I worked for Canada Post for 18 years. I had my business on the side, and I would look at other entrepreneurs, and this is way before even the internet, right? And I'd be like, oh my God, I want to just like live a day in their life. Like, when do they get up? What do they have for breakfast?
Yeah.
Where are they going to work? Like, this is so exciting. I'm going on the GO train. I got to sit at a desk. Like, so I think, from that perspective, maybe, hey, maybe we are rock stars out there, Daryl, with like a really exciting
Maybe we
life.
are. Maybe we are. Like I don't understand this. Everything is content because I honestly, maybe it's because we're of a certain generation. Um,
Yeah,
I don't want to see all aspects of someone's life.
right.
I think that's
Yeah.
great that you have a dress business and you make linen dresses down in Georgia or wherever you make them, or Winnipeg or wherever you make them. But I don't really care that. Maybe I do. Maybe it is that whole voyeurism. Like maybe I do care what you had for lunch last night or lunch yesterday. I don't know. I don't know. I gotta think about that one now. Yeah, now I gotta think about that.
Yeah, you got it. Now you're going to have an awareness for what it is you're actually
But it takes time.
watching
Like
on.
so I'm
Yeah.
having some issues. I'm having some issues with one of my machines today, and I got to rethread it. So now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is rethreading it a whole? Oh, this is how you rethread it. Is that a whole
Excitement.
post?
It
Is that a whole
is.
post? Like,
I think so.
well,
I
shoot.
do. I think it is a whole post. And also, because people are buying from you, you're a Canadian designer, a lot of people don't even know, like, what the heck does that look like? Like, how is this different to what I'm buying at, Hudson's Bay Company sleepwear? Like, when they actually see you physically sitting there with your hands producing something, it's
Yeah,
quite something. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I think the threading of the needle is important.
yeah. Well, and but all of that takes time too.
Yeah.
I just want to thread the needle and get on with it too, because
Yeah, you gotta set up the camera, make sure the angle's right.
I think
Yeah.
you can really get pulled into that. Oh my gosh, this only got so many likes, or this only got so many things, or
Yeah.
and especially having two children who are of a certain age, you hear a lot like, oh, you got to take that down. That's sad. Oh my God, that's cringe. That's like, take that
Yeah.
down. That's horrible. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm leaving it up. I don't care.
Yeah, and I think it's okay. We're Gen Xers. We're allowed to have cringe stuff. Like, we're allowed to not be
It's okay.
perfect, and yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
We're
okay.
new at this. So, Daryl, one thing about you that I've always admired, I know you're talking about the dishes on the counter, laying on the couch, I'm not moving. This is the other side of Daryl. Now, I'm not hanging out with you and your wife in the Sioux, so I haven't seen that side of you. But I will say every time I talk to you, and let's face it, having your own business, you're one of the most amazing people to call.
Oh,
We've talked through the ups, we've talked through the downs, we've talked about the whole roller coaster ride of
it's a roller
owning your own
coaster.
business. But you are always like so positive and very like you're always exploring different things, like
Well, my
whether it's
family, my family would
education
probably
or
family would probably beg to differ on that one, but that's good that that's your interpretation or your impression, Monica. I like that.
yeah,
I'm gonna
it
make my
is.
I'm gonna make my wife watch this. Yeah, that's good. Because she'll be the
But
last
where do you
person
get
to
all
say,
that energy from? Like, you are very, well, I don't want to use the term type A. I don't think it's type A, but you're a person who, like, everything is an adventure, everything is an opportunity. Like, I can see you getting up at 6 in the morning, like, okay,
"Oh,
let's go. I'm so excited about this today. Like,
yeah,
that's what I
yeah."
love about your,
Yeah, I'm not always like that,
yeah.
but
Well,
I think when you have your own business, you just wear so many hats. I find it hard to fall asleep at night because I'm thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow or what's got to get done. So
oh, your babies.
my dogs are at work with me, and someone stop it, guys. Come here, come here. My dogs are at work with me. I'm fortunate. Come here, please. So they're so vicious attack
See,
poodle.
this is content right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. And yeah, it's content. Yeah, I really, it's content. My dogs, come here, come here, come here.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, you'll have to show us the babies
yeah.
when you get a sec.
No, I just get up in the morning, Monica, and you have a checklist, and either mental or physical, actual checklist of things that have to get done.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and were you always like that? Like, even were you like that as a student? In,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. As a design
yeah,
student, nothing's more competitive than design school. So, oh my God,
yeah, that must
maybe
have been intense.
maybe law school or med school, but oh my gosh, everybody's trying to one up everybody else, and yeah, it's intense. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially for the time that you went because it was such a different world.
Yeah, and it was like 110 students and 108 students, and 100 of them were girls, and 8 of them were guys. So you always had to not stand out, but yeah, stand out. Yeah, yeah, you had to stand out, make yourself. Yeah, someone
Yeah.
wants me. My phone's ringing. Sorry, I should have shut that off.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem. It's all part of it. Again,
Content,
content.
content, phone ringing,
It's exciting.
phone ringing. Yeah,
I wish it was an international ring so you could
yeah.
say, I'm getting an order from,
France, from France.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
So, I would love for you to tell everyone the story about your feature on CBC and what that did for your business. I love this
Oh,
story so
oh.
much. So great.
Well, so sometimes when when you do trade shows,
Mhm.
sometimes you do them and you have sales at the trade show, and you're like, oh, okay, I could have sold more. I would have been happier with more, because as somebody in business, you're never really happy with what you sold. You're like, oh, I could have sold more. I had more. Um, and sometimes you just have to be
Yeah.
happy. So I think back in 2017 or 2018, I did the one of a kind, and I sell to a lot of people at the one of a kind who are from the GTA, who I don't necessarily know them or see them again. Like, so for me, let me just say that's a little different, because 98% of my customers here in Sault Ste. Marie I know by their first name, because I've had a store here since 1995. So I pretty much know people. A gentleman came to my booth at the one of a kind. He bought a nightshirt, left. I wrapped it up for him, didn't think anything of it. Fast forward to last year, in the thick of the pandemic, and come here, more content, more content. Come here, and last year we I get a call from a gentleman who says, I bought one of your nightshirts at the One of a Kind show. Come here. I bought one of your nightshirts at the One of a Kind show, and I'm a writer for CBC News, and I want to get a quote from you on supply chain. And I'm like, oh, supply chain? Like, I don't know, supply chain? Like, I order a couple hundred meters of fabric from overseas, and I order my thread from Montreal. Like, there's not a lot of supply chain issues here. I'm usually pretty good. So I told him my thoughts, and he mentioned me in the article because he just wanted a really small Canadian made business perspective on
Perfect.
supply chain. He didn't want like Walmart toys aren't arriving by the boatload from China. That he got that from somebody else.
Yeah.
He wanted my perspective, and he thought of me because he bought a nightshirt. And
Love it.
he obviously wears the nightshirt, and he wanted a Canadian perspective. So he wrote this article I mentioned in like 10 words, not even. And I didn't even know it was coming out. And then on the morning of October 18th, the reason you know it's important is because you remember the day, my phone started literally what they say, like, blowing up, and my sales on my online website started going crazy, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought, oh, this digital marketing, it's really kicked in. If everything is going to be like this. But it was all because of that article. And I sold more in that day from that article, which I've since tried to replicate with influencers, which is a whole other topic. I've sold more that day from that article than I would have in an entire week or 2 weeks being open as a retail store. So
That's incredible. Okay, I hope this interview does the same. I want to be the next, when you have your interview with CBC, I want you to say, and when I was on the
Monica
Get to
mentioned
Know
me.
Them
Look at
show,
Monica.
yeah,
Yeah. So, anyways, it's all good.
cool.
It's all good.
Yeah,
You know, I reached out to the gentleman and thanked him so much. But it's funny because it wasn't even a story about 49th Apparel. It wasn't even a story like this kind of is. It wasn't a story
right.
about things being made in uh, Canada or being made in the North or local production. It wasn't any of that. It was basically a mention about supply chain issues. So you never know. I think that's a and I've told this story to a couple of young entrepreneurs and young designers, and I don't know if it's met with skepticism, but you never know that pair of boxer shorts that you sell for $40 or whatever. You never know what can happen.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, so powerful. I'd love to talk about influencers. I've had my share of
Yeah, I don't believe in them at all anymore. Isn't that horrible? I think so.
yeah,
A person, this is not my quote, but a person
okay.
at the show who has a very successful West Coast Canadian brand. Come here, guys. Has a very successful West Coast Canadian brand. He said to me, because I wanted his take on it, because he's much younger than me. Like this person's like gotta be 20 years younger than me. Very hip, very cool, very West Coast. They do these beautiful wool shirts. Great guy. And I wanted his take on it. And he said basically they're leeches. And he
Really?
doesn't look for them. People reach out to him all the time. And people don't understand that these influencers, I don't know if people understand it, but they want money. Like they want your
Yeah.
product and they want money. So he feels that they're leeches and he looks for more ambassadors. So I've kind of changed
Mm,
my thinking in that respect, Monica, that I want more ambassadors. So a really good example is sales were slow at one point in November. I get this email from this lady. I found your website. This is my Instagram handle. I'm going on the Marilyn Dennis show. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm going on
yeah,
the Marilyn Dennis show. We think your sleepwear would be perfect. We'd like to feature it. I'm thinking, yeah, this is great. Bring it on.
right.
Here's the information. $2,800 for one mention, and
Oh,
maybe I'll take it on the show. It might not make the segment. It'll go in the segment, but it might not make it to the actual finished cut. I don't know. Anyways,
oh God,
after I
no.
saw $2,800, I was like, oh, yeah, my budget's kind of gone for a maybe, and a post on your Instagram feed and product. Like, anyways, I just find it a bit much. That said, I've talked to other people who they'll get mentioned by an influencer and then they'll have like 30 sales that day from it or whatever. I
Yeah.
had an influencer that cost me $900. Zero happened. Zero.
Hmm.
Zilch.
Yeah. I think it's really tough because the thing with the influencers I find too, it's like you get this one-time opportunity, and that's not how marketing works.
Oh,
You got to hit people five, six, seven, 8 times before they even go, "Oh, maybe I'll pay attention to that," you know?
what's going to
So,
happen? What's going to happen here, Monica, is because I'm on your show, people
yeah.
are going to reach out to me, and I'm going to become an influencer of
Yes.
all Canadian made products because my family knows I have an opinion on everything. I just don't have followers. So you have to have followers. You have to have like 33,000 followers or.
Yeah.
So we're approaching it. So in 2023, we're going to approach it more as micro ambassadors. Like maybe you have, I
Yeah.
don't care if you have, what appeal is somebody who has 900,000 followers? How is that going to change my business? Like, is it really going to
Yeah.
change it for the good? And can I even keep up with that if it does? Like,
No, I would way rather send one of my really good customers a little something to tell them how much I love them and how much I appreciate them, and guaranteed that person is going to be at a dinner party and say, "Look what my designer sent me, blah
yeah,
blah blah, best person," and then two of the women at that dinner party are going to, like,
well, that's
I
old school. That's old school marketing, like word of mouth,
yeah,
word of
and
mouth.
I think that's still. so powerful and it's genuine and
It
and then
is.
you're
It's
attracting
it's
more
just
of,
slow. It's just slow.
yeah, it's very slow.
So if you want to
And I
harness,
will,
if you want to harness the power of the internet, you have to,
yeah,
you know,
that's true. And I will say this, I don't know if you found this when you were doing your women's line, like your higher end things, but there are people who love to share like, "Oh yeah, I got this from whatever." And then there are people who are like they
oh,
don't tell because they want the look. They don't want to share it. It's like us in the 80s, like you're
especially
not sharing where that
especially
skinny tie came from.
especially in a small town. Well,
Yeah,
I'm doing this. I'm doing this from a small town where I know all my customers by their first name.
yes,
So yeah,
right. Amazing.
oh yeah.
What's it like living in the Sioux?
Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. Speaking of which, you
Yeah.
gave a little plug because you're wearing Brenda Badome. She makes
Yeah.
beautiful clothing, all in Canada, and I carried her stuff. Had the best sell through. It sold. It was beautiful. Women. It was very wearable, and
Yeah.
Brenda's a very nice lady. Very nice lady.
She sure is. Yeah. Have
Sure
you
is.
met her husband,
Oh,
Dan?
no, I haven't met her husband, but
No?
oh yeah, I think I have.
Okay.
I think I have. Is he your
Yeah,
sales
he's
agent? Is your sales agent
he
like work with her?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've met
yeah.
them both.
He's
They're,
great
they're
too.
lovely. They're lovely. Yeah.
They are. They are. And they really know how to especially make women like 40 and up feel like good in their bodies,
Yeah,
They know how to
Brenda has a really nice niche market there, and she knows
yeah.
what she's doing. And yeah, yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. I like
She's
it.
awesome.
It
Oh,
did
that's
really
so
well for me.
great.
There was never any of it left. Never any of it left. So,
Wow. So
but
good.
yeah, it's funny when you've been around as long as I have, in a small northern town. People are still shocked that my store's closed now. It's like, well, I closed it 2 years ago, and I just do everything. The front door's locked, and I do everything out of the back. And if you need to pick up your item because you're a local customer, you can do that on our website. But
Mhm.
no, I like the pace of life in Sault Ste. Marie.
That's great. Don't you find now too, Daryl, like after doing business the way you did for so long, where you had that boutique and now you're really like in your own thing. Like I just love what happens when we have that shift where I don't know. I mean, I'm making an assumption here. This is how I felt. I always felt like I should be doing it this way because that's how everybody else does it. And since the pandemic, I'm like, I don't have to do anything anybody's way.
Yeah,
I can do everything my way.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
like we're
That's
really
terrific.
working for ourselves now,
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
to
yeah. So at
some
the bottom, at
yeah.
the end of the day, the bottom line is I have people to pay. I have
Yeah.
expenses to pay. It's nice if Daryl can take a paycheck. Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, so in essence, I still work for the customer. I think people
Of course.
forget that a lot of times. Um, but yeah, I guess what you're trying to say is there's multiple different models now of how a business can work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
exactly.
when I went away to my first trade show, which was the one of a kind in 2016, and I didn't realize the volumes of people and the market that was out there, a friend of mine came back and said, Daryl, people make money selling overstock perfume and cologne out of their garage in Barrie, and they make a fortune. He goes, there's a guy in my street that sells overstock cologne out of his garage, and he lives in an $800,000 house. This was like 5 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, wow, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
So the fact that I want to sell nightshirts and pajamas from a small northern Ontario town, or you want to sell crystal jewelry from Burlington,
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So, actually that's another thing. So when things are, that I always say this, over Christmas as small businesses, we all feel like rock stars and then January comes. Well, maybe in your business because
My
it's
business in
sleepwear, you're
January
still
Touchwood is still okay.
still good. Yeah.
But come the winter
But
blues of February, like February's everybody's worst month, I think. Everybody.
yeah, and we all get into that
Ooh,
slump. Um,
ooh.
I feel like that's another thing I'm learning now is that you can't let your creativity die. And even you have to continue to put things out there even when nobody is is biting or buying or Do you find that
Well, yeah. So
challenging? Like,
I find that challenging throughout the year. So we planned out our pajama launch. We planned it out that we would launch. We said, okay, if Christmas and November and December is our busy time, we don't want to be launching new product in November and December. We want it all to be
mhm,
launched. So if we have 3 product lines to launch, a basswood plaid, a Huron plaid, and a Pancake Bay plaid, all named after local areas up here in the north, we want to start launching then in August, July or August. We want to make it special. We want to let everyone know. Well, we did that. We did these new designs. We did this new fabric. Nothing happened because nobody's even thinking about that at that time of year. And I kind of knew that, but so I guess long answer to your question, Monica. Yeah, I agree. You can't let your creativity or your plans or your projections change, but it's really tough when nothing's happening.
it is.
Like
Yeah, you
no
got to
sales, no
dig
sales are
deep.
coming in because you need sales. Like you want sales.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is so crazy. I have to say, like, you know, even for you, you've had that experience where you've worked for someone else and you just get the paycheck and you go home and but once you cross over that line to work for yourself,
Yeah.
I think it is just this ride like nothing. You really get to know yourself. Like it and people say it's business, it's not personal, but man, is it personal.
Well,
These
it's
are
funny.
everything that comes out of your hands. It's your baby you're putting out into the
Yeah.
world, like,
Yeah.
and you can't help but feel like
Oh, oh.
punched in the stomach when nobody wants it. Like, but
I
it's
wonder if I
nothing. It's
could.
like move on to the next thing. That's okay.
Yeah, I wonder if I could go work for somebody else. I
Yeah,
probably
what do you
could.
think?
I probably could. Like, could you? Do you think you could go work for somebody else?
I don't, you know what? I feel like if I was going to work for myself, this is the job I would want. Okay.
Like
To
an
stay in shape. Yeah, I already know the job I want. It would be loading the luggage onto the airplanes.
oh,
And I would listen to podcasts all day and I'd have like super fit arms and I'd just be like,
that's good.
yeah. And
That's a
I
good
would
one. Yeah.
dance in the friggin'
Yeah.
like, I don't care about the cold, the warm, I'm good.
Oh, good.
But something where I didn't have to meet sales targets, report, do any kind of, that I could never do again. Like,
Well,
I can do that for me, but I'm not sitting down and no. What
I
about you?
wish if people could peek behind the curtain and see the content, and this is what I would want people to see is just the day-to-day struggles. It's like, okay, I have bills to pay.
Yeah,
Um, I need to sell nightshirts. We need to move product. And
yeah.
that is kind of the tough thing when you have a creative business, and especially when you want to have a Canadian made sustainable business, which I'm striving every day to have sustainable packaging, all natural fibers, made locally, built to last. You do all these things. And there's people out there that get it, but you need to find those people. And sometimes finding those people costs money. Um,
Mhm.
it's just tough. It can get tough and it can get frustrating.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, I often wonder if I would love to work with someone else and for someone else. I've been my own boss for many years now. I don't
Mhm.
know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if I see the little comment on my kindergarten report card plays well with others or doesn't play well with others. I think I do. I think I'd play well with others. Like
Yeah.
it's
But
it's it's tough.
rather than working for someone else, do you ever have this feeling like it would be nice to have somebody boss you around in your business? Like even for a month, like go, okay, you're like just for a new, fresh look at the way that you're running things. Like I sometimes think
Yeah,
it'd
so
be cool
I
to have
hired that
somebody come
person.
in.
I hired that
Yeah.
person, and then the reality
How'd
of a
that
small
go?
it went wonderful, wonderful. And then the reality of a small business set in, and she needed wonderful person,
Hmm.
exactly what I needed. She kept me on task. We had Google Documents. We had shared documents with the graphic designer. We had spreadsheets. She got about 17 systems in place here going forward. I
Oh,
can't tell you. She used to run a restaurant, so she just transferred all those skills into my business. But then the reality of running a small business set in, and she needed more hours than I could give her
yeah.
because
Wow.
I can only afford so many full-time people, and basically it's me.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
So,
so
have you
she's
kept a
still
lot
here.
of
So
those systems in
she's
place?
still here. Oh yeah, the systems are in place, and she
Yeah.
still works here in some capacity. But basically, she got snapped up and got a full-time job, which is the reality of my
Mhm.
business.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
um, I see these businesses behind the scenes and with the curtain peeled back, and I see a room with like 4 people all working away on the computer, and a graphic designer and a marketing person, and I'm thinking, whoa, like you have to sell a lot of sweatshirts to do that. Like,
Yes. Exactly.
you
That's what
know,
I always think too.
you sell.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are the source deductions on that? That's the first thing I think.
Oh yeah,
What is
yeah. I know
what's
why
that
people don't want to.
payment?
I know why I pay source deductions. I know why people don't want to hire people. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
100%. I get
That's
it. Yep.
yeah, for
Um,
sure. I remember those days, the back in the mode accessories days, I had 8 girls working for me while
I
still
remember.
working full time at Canada Post. Like,
I remember.
and I just sometimes I'm like, how did I do that? Who was that person?
Well, I had a payroll
But
here when I had a retail store of 4 girls working here,
yeah,
all on payroll, all working, always 2 people in the store, always selling. And I think back to it now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like holy,
a lot of pressure.
a lot of pressure. Yeah, and my kids were
Yeah.
little, and yeah, I just really wanted to, yeah, be home
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's all of these experiences that take us to where we are now. And I think this is a good place. I don't want to see you working for anybody else, Daryl.
Well,
I want to see you keep rocking it out there in
yeah.
the Sioux and your beautiful
Thank you.
facility. And yeah, you're
Yeah, you want
so
to meet?
good at what
You
you
want to meet?
do.
You
I
have to
do
meet
want to meet the
me.
babies. We
Come
want to meet
here,
them.
come here.
The new Daryl has 2 new babies now that his sons are all
Well, my
grown up
sons are
and
away at university, and I was going to get one, and then they were litter mates, so I had to get 2. So this is Archie. Say hi, Archie.
Archie.
Hey,
Oh my
that's
God, he's
Archie.
so
Yeah, he
beautiful.
is. He's about 58 pounds,
Wow.
and this is his brother Bruno, who I think is a little more. Come here, come here, oh, come here, Bruno.
I love the
Oh,
names.
come here. Oh, this is Bruno.
Oh
His
my God. Hi, Bruno.
his litter
Oh,
mate. Yeah, and they get to come to work with me every day. I'm very lucky.
amazing.
They know that we're
Wow.
going to go for they know that we're going to go for a walk before we come to work, and then they know that as soon as we get home and we park the car in the driveway, we're going to go for another walk. And we
Oh,
have
look at
lunch.
the
We have lunch together. We have lunch together every day. And Archie's upset that Bruno's in my lap. We have lunch together every day, and they share my apple with me because they love apples. And
oh,
yeah, I'm very lucky. And I don't think if I went to work somewhere else, they'd let me take my dogs, my giant dogs, 100 pounds of
I don't think so.
100 pounds of canine. I don't think they'd let me take them to work. So
You never know now,
you never
you
know.
can
Never know.
put that in the contract. Oh,
Mhm.
that's so
Yeah.
great, Daryl. How'd you come up with the names? Archie and Bruno.
Well, I don't even know. So Bruno is like this Italian name that my wife just loved, and
Yeah.
so we named the dark one Bruno. And Archie, I don't know. We just oh, their father's name is Archie. Their father's name is Archie.
Okay.
And I
Cute.
thought that was a great name. Their father is a giant black poodle, so we named the blonde one Archie. There they are, right there. Say hi,
Oh
guys.
my God. They're so
Hi.
sweet. Look.
Yeah,
And how
oh
old
yeah.
are they now? They're like a
Well,
year
they're, they're
older.
no, they're like 10 months old.
Oh my God.
They're monsters. Yeah, they're monsters. Yeah,
Wow.
and they literally follow me everywhere, like everywhere. So it's nice. I'm like the Pied Piper. I'm like the Pied Piper.
That's so oh,
Yeah,
adorable. They
yeah.
need jammies.
They
Get
need
them.
theirs. Well,
Yes, that's
so
gonna
it's
blow
funny.
up
It's
your
it's
internets.
it's funny. I know. I know. No poodles in
Everything's
pajamas.
about the
I
dog.
know.
Yeah.
They have their own Instagram account, but I never post to it.
Would
I
you
was gonna
do a
make I was
dog's
gonna make
line?
them Insta famous. I was gonna make them Insta famous.
Why
It's called
not?
it's
Do
called
it.
Two Poodle Pups, and they have like
And
30 followers.
You have to, and then get the thing where we were talking about that before, where people can pay like $100 a month to watch behind the scenes of your
Yeah.
dogs.
Oh,
Oh my God, Daryl. I love talking to you. Thank you
okay.
for
I
doing
love I
this
love visiting
today.
with you too,
You're
Monica. I'm glad things are
it's
good with you. I'm glad things are good with you.
yeah, we've survived. We keep going. So I'm going to
Well,
put you in the virtual green
okay.
room, but any final words before we say
Um,
goodbye?
well, we do a lot of posts on our we do a lot of posts, and we always talk about how when you buy from a Canadian business such as your business or my business or any big Canadian business that's a small business, there's an actual person who gets that cha-ching or gets that little email or gets that order and it goes through their phone and you do like a little happy dance and my heart has little heart bubbles, like my wife says, heart bubbles. Like I'm
Yeah.
happy because it's like, oh, I can pay for the fabric. Oh, I can get fabric next season. um I don't think people at Amazon or Walmart do that, you
You
know.
know what? That's so true. And
Oh,
you make such a good point because it's always when we get the money, we're like, now I can buy more beads or
oh
more
my God,
fabric.
I'm so
It's
happy.
not like
You know,
now I can go buy a yacht.
well,
It's that would be nice,
well
but
now we've increased our fourth quarter of the year, and the shareholders will be thrilled. Like
yeah,
it's all
we
that
just
kind of
want to
thing.
create more.
It's like, oh my gosh, my sales are up a little bit. That's wonderful. I can afford to do
Yeah,
this, or I can't afford to buy that linen and do those house coats and linen next year. We got to wait another year. So
yeah,
I just think that, and that's not to say I don't believe in zero tolerance. Like if you need to find something and you need to find it quick and Walmart.ca or one of those things has it, that's fine. But
yeah,
I try and go out of my way to support, if at all possible, uh, somebody local, somebody Canadian, somebody who's doing their thing in Canada
yeah,
and is a craftsperson, is an artisan. You know, your eyes really get opened up to those kind of things when you do the trade shows. When you do those trade shows, you see how many makers there are out there. Some lady
yeah.
in Brampton making mustard. Like, oh wow, who'd have thought? You know,
Incredible.
yeah, it's incredible.
Yes. You know, you just made me think of something for our social media. I think it would be cool. I've done this with a couple of customers and I've had a good response. I've had situations where somebody spends like a couple $100 and I decide, you know what, I'm going to take that couple $100. I'm going to Home Depot to get spray paint and I'm going to repaint my tables in my showroom because they're looking a little rough. And
Okay.
then I send them a video of me doing it and say, "Thank you for your order. Here's what I did
No,
with,"
that's
just so you
content.
know,
That's content. That's
it's good
content.
content and it also makes them feel like they're part of the business, right? So maybe we need to show our customers more what their dollars are going
When
to,
they when
like
they shop
how
here, I'll show them the food I can buy for my family.
exactly
Because
baguettes. I got
right now,
yeah, on a week that you that's
here's the
not so good, you
turkey.
can go,
Here's the
"Thanks,
turkey
guys."
I can buy for Christmas. Yeah, here's the Christmas
Yeah.
turkey.
Yeah, I had to buy
Yeah,
hot dogs this weekend. Thanks a lot. Can we
yeah.
pick up the sales next week, please?
Well, that's the
Yeah,
thing,
it's
and
good.
and you never know what's going to happen, what's coming down the line, and you know,
No, and you never know when you're gonna run into someone from CBC and you're
yeah,
gonna
you
have
never
a
know,
record day. Yeah,
never know,
so
never
good.
know. So,
So
anyways,
many good lessons, Daryl. You're amazing.
thank you, Monica, for inviting me to have this chat. It was lots of fun, and I hope I did what you wanted me to do. I don't know.
You did. You followed the protocol. You did
Well,
awesome.
okay.
Okay, I'm
Well,
gonna
thank
just put you backstage. Thank you.
you.
Oh, thank you guys so much for watching today. Daryl is so wonderful and God, what a positive, awesome guy. Make sure you go to Daryl's website, 49th49th apparel.ca. Get yourself some beautiful sleepwear. It's going to be a long, cold winter, as you know, and you're going to want to have that sleepwear. Also, check out our sponsor, Brenda Badome at brendabadome.com and get yourself some lovely clothes for the winter season. Use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 22% off of your order. And as always, go grab yourself some beautiful matching accessories from glamjewels.com. And our jewelry does go well with Daryl's sleepwear, just saying. So make sure you check that out. Thank you for all your love and support for small business. We truly appreciate it. And we love you so much. And thank you for tuning in. Keep on showing the world your sparkle, and I will see you back here next week with another amazing guest for the Get to Know Them show. Bye for now.